Well, hello guys. My name is Allie, and today I am going to be analyzing 17 magazine. I say that with a slightly sarcastic tone because, I just remember reading this as a teenager, and I really just thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Reading back on it now, I'll admit it's pretty comical and a little bit embarrassing that I put such a high stress on this kind of advertisement, things like that. And I know that I'm stereotyping here, with giving it a kind of a bad rap, but bear with me. You'll see that it's not very difficult to when we are reading and digesting the kind of magazine that this is. So with that, let's talk about, so I think that the demographic here is pretty easy. So right now we're looking at teenage girls as the audience. Primarily probably looking at 13, 14, 15. I remember being, a senior in high school, and I thought that this was pretty lame, and so I would like to keep the estimate of that demographic pretty low, about, maybe 13 years old. So we see that. I also was analyzing this a little bit, and I found that I'd honestly even go as far as to call this kind of demographic a subculture, because within this age or type of specific culture, you have another completely separate culture of, this idea of stressing fashion, gossip, a really specific type of feminism that is very particular with this specific teenage world. I know that not all teenagers are interested in things like that, and so you'll see that the stress that this kind of magazine, the different kind of things that they stress, are really interesting, and really something to take note of. With that, let's go into the very first one. Very first advertisement that we are going to be analyzing is, so we see an Aeropostale, or I think it's considered to be pronounced Aeropostale, an advertisement here. And so here we see this couple, very romantic, very young and very naive, and all of those things. And we see a little bit of an ego here. It's hard to not go into an advertisement like this a little bit egotistical. And that's normal, I think. And so, here I think that we are seeing a little bit, not a ton of cultural relativism going on during this age. People really like to stay in their box of what they believe and what they consider to be important aspects of life. And we see that a little bit here. They're a little bit in a box. They're a little bit in their own world. The other thing that I wanted to take note of as well is, I should probably note that this issue of 17 was published in 2012, and so this is nearly 5 years old now, and we can already see a very big difference in culture and society now that it's 2017. In the last year or two, I've really seen a huge increase in the idea of stressing who we are, and the idea that if you look a certain way or act a certain way or anything along those lines, that you are great, you are beautiful, we will all love you, all of those things. And not all of these advertisements really stress that, and so it really makes you wonder, of all of the messages that the media could give out and portray, they chose to stress the idea of young, hip love. And again, with this demographic being 13 or 14 years old, that may not have been a very wise choice for them to stress something like that. So with that being said, I found this a little bit interesting, but let's move on from there. So for this next one, we see it's an AccuView advertisement commercial, and this one I found really interesting as well because, like I said before, for the media to be portraying something like this. So basically, the thing that I am seeing with this kind of commercial is, the idea that this girl at high school dance or whatever it is, what have you. All of her friends are having fun and she is not because she's wearing glasses. And I found that it hit home just a little bit for me because I think I ended up getting glasses at the age of 11. I had pretty bad eyesight early on, and obviously that was something that was completely out of my control. And the other thing was that I really didn't, my doctors would not allow me to wear contact lenses because I was so young and because my eyes were changing so rapidly, that it really would have been considered a waste of money because my eyes were changing and getting pretty bad every 6 months. And so I didn't have a choice but to wear glasses. And so at 13 years old, you know, for me to see something like this would have been really discouraging. And so we see that a little bit, and we see you know, the path that this marketing chooses to take. And so we have to look at that a little bit. So let's move on from there a little bit. Okay, so here we see, so it's an Olay body lotion, I think it's face lotion commercial, and I really wanted to touch on this a little bit because this is one advertisement that I really appreciated. First of all, we see Carrie Underwood, and Carrie Underwood is really well known for being very real, very natural, very down to earth, and very humble. And so I found it of particular interest that Olay chose to highlight her as such a natural face for body lotion. She's not done up. It looks like a very, you know, again, a very natural look. And so I really appreciated that this was the path that that the media wanted to take in order to portray a message to teenagers, was that we could look at something and not have it be fake, basically. So I really appreciated that about Olay and how they chose to go about that. So our very last one it's a Tampax commercial, and we see that the social group, the specific, a little bit more specific demographic, another subculture here, is that not only are they portraying the idea of young, you know, of youth and hip and personality, is they are also portraying the idea of someone with color, and I really appreciated that. I think it's noteworthy that this is one of the only advertisements that I saw within this issue that highlighted a woman of color, and we see in those surrounding areas and those other people in the background as well, that there are other people of ethnicity, and so I really appreciated that. I wanted to make sure that there was a note of that. You know, and we see within that body language, within those gestures of those people, that, you know, again, there's that youth, there's that little bit of embarrassment. You know, the caption here is, "At a moment like this, I'm glad I used Tampax Pearl." And so, you know, it's this idea of being fresh, of being, you know, protected, and, you know, and all of those things. And that's a great thing. All to say, thank you so very much for listening in on me breaking down 17 magazine. I must admit, I had a lot more fun making this project than I thought I would, and so I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. So I look forward to hearing your responses, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much. Young love.